Welcome back to Level Up, the show where I bring real talks, real experiences. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by someone who has redefined what corporate travel and expense management can look like in a global tech company. Please welcome Mihai Dinu, expense reporting manager at UiPath, global travel strategist, automation enthusiast, and someone who's not afraid to challenge the old ways of doing things. Mihai, great to have you in the show.
Hello, Hakim, and thank you very much for the warm welcome. Before we begin, I would like to mention that the views and the experiences I relate here today are my own and not representative of UiPath or its leadership.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to have you for a lot of reasons. I think the one most important is definitely your experience and the knowledge that you have into that segment in the business travel and buyer side, not from the hotel side, not from the supplier side, from the buyer side, but also now you're in expenses, so definitely more kind of knowledge there. But I think more importantly, we've been working together, which is something I'm really proud of. We've been knowing each other for, I think, if I remember correctly, maybe the last maybe 5 or 7 years, even something. I can't really remember,
I
and
think
it
seven.
was 7. Yeah, I think so. And really, I really enjoyed working with you. It was very nice to learn and to be in a such relationship with a buyer, which I always look up to. So thank you in the beginning for all the support you have been doing with me. And I want to jump really to the first segment kind of the podcast, and is the career beginning. And I want to go back, take us back to the early days when in travel and expenses. What brought you to that space?
Yeah, actually, I started doing travel program management not too long ago. It was in 2018, and the main driver was my constant need to learn, build, and improve TNE related processes. And the only environment to allow this to me was a company and not a TMC. In my
Yeah,
case, I was fortunate enough to start this process from scratch in a software company, which grew very fast from a startup to a global company. And my main mission at that time was to create a functional, global, or multinational travel program from scratch and quickly implement it to support companies' hyper growth stage. And I should
amazing.
also, yes, I should also mention for our audience that this is in fact how you and me met while I was
Yes,
looking for innovative hotel chains, different than the traditional ones. So this is how I came across Citizen M hotels, where you were leading sales and expansion at that time, right?
that's correct. That's correct. It was really a nice time. We have learned a lot, definitely.
Yeah.
Really nice. And you worked over decades as well in at TMCs before UPath. So what really lessons did you have learned from that chapter? Because that's also a totally different world as well.
Yeah, this is correct. And I think that my 10-year exposure to business travel landscape on the TMC side played a key role in my quest to building a travel program by meticulously putting all pieces together in a fast manner where there was little to no room for error. Like
Yeah.
the main lesson I learned is how important it is to have a vast operational background and knowledge because it helps you burn many stages in building a travel program and focus more on enhancing your global business travel related knowledge, and ultimately it gives you the ability to look at your program's performance as a whole instead of focusing on different pieces.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true. And I think looking back at the time where we, first met and kind of had the relationship when I was in Season M, it was also during like a really challenging time, like COVID and the travel itself as a department in any company was one of the hottest, departments because of course all the travel bans and all that. So when was that moment that you realized that okay, there's something needs to be done differently or rebuilt differently at when you were role in the travel management?
Yeah, I think for me, working for an automation company helped me as I could see the benefits of automating internal processes, firsthand. Next step for me and my team was to just identify such processes, and we all know that there are plenty in TNE, and work internally to have them automated. And I think that the main benefit is that you gain time so you can focus on activities which bring extra value and thus enhancing your role as a TNE professional. And I
Yeah,
also think that travel managers have the opportunity of interacting with so many stakeholders, and there are many areas of improvement which they can easily lead, especially with the latest technology advancements. I mean, I think they just need to have a seat at the table and voice their opinion and not be afraid to think outside the box and implement innovative solutions in their TNE programs.
that's really really interesting. Especially the world has changed, especially in travel. After from the like let's say from 2020 with the pandemic and the shift of the pandemic, after a lot of priorities got changed. Of course, thinking of sustainability, thinking of AI, a lot of hot topics. So it's really interesting to learn about that. And of course, I was one of the people who's like, okay, the travel managers during the pandemic job was the most challenging. Like you have to think of a lot of reading lots of policies, making sure you're following the company policies and actually building it, which you were doing yourself, and was really something that I would say challenging that time. How was it for you actually during this time?
During COVID, so the COVID started in 2021, if I am not wrong,
Yeah,
2020, 2021.
yeah,
So by that time, we already implemented the global travel program. So the issue was that we suddenly came to a stop. So we weren't able to see it in action like for a longer period of time. When you analyze the performance of a travel program, TNE program, you need to look at least at 3 years back,
yeah.
of
Data
history.
and history. Yeah.
We didn't have this opportunity, so it was a little bit challenging because we didn't know what to expect once the pandemic stopped.
Yeah.
But fortunately, everything went very well, and I remember that we finalized implementing the travel program, and right after that, COVID hit, and we were able to just shut everything. So by the switch of a button, we were able to shut down the travel and keep everybody safe, and that was really,
Nice.
really good. Yeah.
Of course, yeah, especially in with the duty of thinking of duty of care and all that, which we'll come back to it in the call. But really nice. So you like had to build everything from scratch, like coming to building UPass travel program from scratch. What some of first steps you actually took as a travel buyer to ensure, you know, doing that on the right, thinking of long term, and you had no idea that COVID is coming. So what were the first steps you kind of took actually?
Yeah, first I would like to mention that the need for rebuilding the travel program came to support companies' hypergrowth at that time. So there was a desire for greater efficiency while the company was expanding in new geographies. This was the scenario, the environment. Okay. So first steps were to gather information about the company's growth strategy, so that we were able to coordinate regional implementations accordingly.
Interesting. Which is absolutely like very important step. Of course, yeah, before you build or implement anything, you need to make sure you're following the same kind of bigger picture of a company. How did you
Exactly.
approach like the designing, for scale, speed, simplicity, reaching to the teams? How was this process for you?
Yeah, you mentioned a very good word, simplicity. So the goal was to have a simple setup, a single TMC plus a single OBT, online booking tool, and a single expensing tool, because this would allow us for scalability and future enhancements. And this is how we did it.
Nice, really nice. And you manage also to roll out, like I remember we spoke about this before, to a global team sees an OPT across 30 plus countries in under 1 year. Like, how was that? How would made this possible? Actually,
Yeah, it's it was it was painful, but I think the word here is consolidation, and implementing the program in our main markets with the idea to consolidate where possible, like for example the EMEA region. And this allowed us to launch the program faster instead of doing implementations and at country level, which would have been time consuming.
yeah, yeah. Wow, I can imagine how big is that. Like, especially with the fact that you are also growing as a company as well and growing in all fields. So really, really interesting. You must learn a lot out of this as a buyer.
Yes, and I think it's also important to mention that collaboration between teams was outstanding, and this made a difference,
Nice.
a huge difference. We were able to discuss internally and understand what the future would look like, and this helped us better prepare the implementations.
Definitely, definitely. I fully agree with this, especially your your relationship with all stakeholders, as you mentioned it before, and of course you manage a lot of relationships with suppliers and TMCs outside, external, but also internal as well, which is it can be also challenging, in a time where COVID and working remotely and everyone at home and you have to meet online. So definitely this is something that I look up to you at it, especially with being part of that growth and program, because we were a supplier as well when I was in Citizen M. And I have to say, you have been always inspiring. Like, coming back to the show called Level Up, I look at you and you were always leveling up, because you have been one of the most active, I think, buyers I've seen. You've been always, talking in panels and business travel shows and doing a lot of, webinars, and which was really amazing. And also thinking of managing the other program internally, like, wow, that's a level up for me, definitely.
Thank you very much for your kind words. Thank you. I
No,
really
of course.
appreciate.
That's so true. That's so true. But also, I think this is something I always like to bring in the show. And there's no like a script for it. It always comes with the flow. Like, this is really shows the discipline, the mindset, the motivation to make things happen and to find solutions. Which absolutely, you are one of those leaders who always try to find solution. And I remember also when we had to negotiate every year the rates, and you were always trying to find ways to reach an agreement, to find a solution, which absolutely helped me a lot. So thank you for that. Definitely.
Thank you. Yeah.
Nice. We move a little bit to the second segment, which is about innovation and automation. And how does I'm not expert in that, to be very honest, but it's nice to learn from you. How does RPA, robotic process automation, fit into the travel and expense process, actually?
Mm. Yeah, I think automations fit into any process in general in companies. But I also think that software automations in general should be top of mind for any T&E professional. And whether we are talking about greater efficiencies within the internal processes, like the back office processes, increasing compliance or driving savings or enhancing user experience. Oftentimes our daily mundane tasks take up most of our time and prevent us from being creative.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
yeah, and I think that with the use of automations, this is no longer the case. And we should all think about how we could leverage these new tools to unleash our full potential, you know?
Yeah, definitely, especially in a time where we are, of course, living a new reality with AI and all that. So, are you testing any generative AI right now in the company to kind of automate, innovate, try to save time? Anything right now?
Yes, like many global organizations, we are very excited about the opportunity to leverage generative AI in our business. to drive greater efficiency and scale across the company. And of course, our TNE organization is part of this exercise, and we have pilots underway that have the potential to improve employee experience and efficiency.
Interesting, interesting. There's always this question like AI is going to take over jobs and all that. Do you see that balance happening? I personally think it's a necessarily that every single company or business that must use AI for a lot of reasons. Of course, saves times, all this admin work, automation stuff, but also coming from hospitality, I believe that the human part is really important and cannot be deleted because this is where the connections happen and the emotions and all that. So how do you think about that in your kind of segment?
What's funny? I think the other way around. I think that the adoption and the use of AI will in fact enhance the customer care, and I think that this human touch will be more present in the future, because right now, for the same reasons, the same people who need to offer customer support also need to do other tasks which are time consuming.
Yeah,
So instead of answering like a robot, repetitive and not being human at all, I think now these functions have the opportunity to really stand up to their real values and be customer care, the real care, not customers care.
definitely. No, I fully agree with you. It's gonna only help the customer experience, as you said, and there's so many different ways actually how to use it. Like when it comes to hospitality, when it comes to hotels, but literally every other industry, which is quite really interesting. And moving a little bit towards, I think, a really topic to your heart, I would say, duty of care. I know you've been talking a lot about that in a lot of panels and a lot, also with me as well with the program when we were discussing RFPs and stuff like this. You have talked about it all over the time, but what does it mean actually for you?
Yes, I'm talking about duty of caring, actually, instead of duty of care. And the the reason being is that while duty of care is a legal obligation companies have towards employees who travel for work, duty of caring means giving that human touch we were talking about to any
Mm,
interaction within the company, so that people feel not only the physical protection given by the duty of care program, but also the psychological and emotional one. And I think this is the type of organizational culture we should aim for.
I fully agree. Really nice to hear that because, of course, also after the pandemic and there was a lot of burnouts and people like felt isolated and lonely, so mental health and duty of care from the corporation was absolutely one of the top priorities for any corporate to ensure, like what you said, that the people not only feeling the physical part but also the emotional part, which is really interesting. This is a whole another topic and do another podcast about it definitely.
Yeah, that would be interesting. But I also wanted to add to what you are saying. And I think it's critical to understand your audience before any type of interaction, regardless of demographics, behaviors or local culture, because true impact comes from context awareness and not from assumptions. And if we think about our travelers, they should have peace of mind in two important areas, in my mind. First, that the TNE professionals are diligently working on ensuring a smooth user experience. And secondly, that they will get the best support while booking, traveling, or expensing their business related charges. I think this is really important.
That's really good to hear. And it opened also another question comes to my mind as well. And how do you balance actually the cost control with the employee experience? Because also I think coming from like a company where you travel a lot and you're growing, so the travel as well kind of cost is also growing as well. So how you make sure you balance this with giving also the experience that is nice, because you don't want also your guest stay in a low class or 2 stars, 1 star. You want them also to have the experience. How do you balance this?
Yeah, I think the right balance really comes from setting clear, fair guidelines that keep costs reasonable while also giving employees enough to work and travel effectively. Like,
Nice.
just to give you an example, the ability to expense business lounge passes in certain scenarios. This is one example.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite really like comforting for also the traveler, to know, to make sure that they are getting the best experiences by, of course, all the work that you've been doing, and ensuring that also duty of care again, that yeah, this is something that the company is doing for us as well.
Yeah, and also this is not a significant cost for the company, but for the individual is very important to be able, for example, if the connection, the connecting flight is after 4 or 5 hours, that employee can spend some time in the business lounge and be uh, do some work or relax and be ready for the next day when he will have meetings and so on. So I think
Definitely.
it's really important.
Yes. Do you have any like stories, experiences that really always comes to your head when it comes to when you were as a buyer, like thinking of that duty of care and travel experiences? Do you have anything was challenging for you as a buyer?
Um, I don't know. I think it's important to set the right expectations when you are in this relationship between buyers and suppliers. And as long as you set the right expectations, and I think there is little room for surprises. This is this is my opinion, and this is the way I operate.
It's so true. It's so true. I agree. Being in a business relation with you, of course, all these over years, and I know exactly your perspective as a buyer. So that also helped me a lot. And I want to bring back something you said earlier as well, is knowing your audience, like understand their needs, what they really want. It saves lots of time for both, for buyer and
Listen,
supplier. Yeah,
listen.
exactly.
That's the word. Listen.
Exactly. Really nice. I wanna shift gears a little bit and going into that direction, like the buyer perspective and the relationships. You have, of course, been receiving lots of sales pitch from salespeople like myself that time. Hotel sales, it can be also other suppliers, but anything stands out, like anything that for you, like, oh, this was something, and the opposite, like, oh, this was never want to see that again.
Yeah, right now I'm mainly receiving this on the expense side of things, but in the past on travel as well. And yes, to answer your question, I think for me, authenticity and knowledge stand out always. These two will stand out for me in a relation with a buyer.
Really, really nice. Authenticity and knowledge. They are very strong words, definitely. And like, if you want to dig a little bit more into authenticity, what would be an example? Like,
I think it's important to at least that the buyers at least don't have the impression that the supplier is trying to just sell them something, and be reasonable. Always be reasonable. Okay, so this is what I mean by being authentic. Like not trying to oversell, because at some point um, the level of trust will decrease, and you and me know that in this industry reputation is very important and it takes a lot to build it. and you can ruin it like in an instance. So it's very easy to ruin it. That's why
Definitely.
I am a strong believer in these two words: authenticity and, of course, knowledge. You cannot go into a meeting with a buyer, and I think the level of knowledge should be at least the same.
I agree. I agree. This is definitely a message to all players out there, trying to pitch for buyers. I agree with you. And it's something I think always helped me as well, in my career when I was in hospitality, is really what you said, is really being, authentic, being also logic, and make sure also your clients. You might be wasting time if you don't know your clients, and maybe they will not even want to work with you in the end because they don't have location, or the race, whatever reason. But the knowledge is quite important, and I'm happy to hear it from your side as well.
Yeah, and I think a good salesperson in this in the business travel industry should be able to offer solutions to both known and unknown problems, because oftentimes customers or buyers don't know all their problems, and then a great salesperson has the ability to pinpoint those unknown problems, and this is when they make a difference.
Nice.
Also, it's important for them to always be supportive. If a buyer is asking for anything, and you'll be surprised to hear what people remember um, after these interactions. And I can assure you that it's not only the great hotel rates which are offered, since we are talking
You're,
about hotels.
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Now, that's really nice to hear. Do you have any examples of a hotel or like a person really impressed you, like with whatever? It can be a meeting or an RFP, or it doesn't matter, anything.
Yeah, I remember it was in the early beginning when I was in discussions with venue in a different market, and I proposed a different way of doing business, which was not common in that market and was not acceptable in that market. But I appreciated the fact that the hotel representatives accepted my terms, and in fact, this was in my mind the stage. Looking back, it was the stage when we were building trust, and a very nice business relationship followed. So I was very impressed that even though my approach was not acceptable in that side of the world, they agreed to change and go and ask for approval to do it my way. And that
Nice,
was
nice.
really impressive in for me.
And that's also, I think, for you as a buyer, it shows, their ambition to make that work, to find a solution. And that, I think, also based on my experience as well, that makes you think of them as a supplier when travel comes to this area or something. Yeah, you want to go for this person or this venue who really tried to help you out, and this is definitely what matters in the end.
Yeah, you look at the supplier as a partner.
Yeah, yeah.
Besides the business relationship, it's the suppliers are partners. That's why I'm always going back to the uh, human relationships. I mean,
You're
it's
right.
we all understand we need to suppliers need to sell, buyers need to buy. But the human touch is really important. This is my and I am stubborn on believing living with this belief that the human touch
You
is
are
very important.
absolutely right, and I think you lead by example because you're doing this yourself. You've been a great partner all of these years. Yeah, I remember when I asked you
Thank you.
also during the COVID, we did those panel discussion calls where we talked about challenges, and you were one of the first who said yes. So you're always saying really okay, and you're trying to find solution. You're here today in my show, so again, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And to the other side of doing the right thing and making that right connection, that right relationship, do you have any common mistakes maybe you want to highlight to the salespeople out there that don't do that? This is the red line.
Yes, yes, there are, and I think some of uh, some of the sellers are not being reasonable when talking numbers. This is one mistake.
Well, yeah, this is quite interesting.
Others,
Yeah, I know.
others, yeah. I mean, and again, this is also related to the level of knowledge I was talking about earlier.
Yeah,
Uh,
correct.
Others are trying to emphasize their offer by putting their competitors in a bad spot, and I find this really totally unprofessional. And also, I think that not all sellers are ineffective for the same reasons. Some fail to listen, while others lack the knowledge to add real value. This is
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I can tell you after all these years and interactions, hundreds of calls,
Yes,
supplier
definitely.
calls.
You had enough on the supplier side. Oh, really nice. I'm really happy to hear. A lot of great insights coming from you. I think we're moving towards the end of the podcast. There's just one last segment, which is always nice. Some lighting round and fire questions, to answer. If you go back to your experiences, as also you've been traveling the world, you traveled everywhere, like I'm sure for business, for leisure. Was any like a really memorable experience? It can be an airport, it can be a hotel, it can be a restaurant, it doesn't matter. What was that, and what really made it memorable?
There were many, but this one comes to mind. So I was very tired. It was evening, late in the evening, and I was in an Uber heading to the airport. I was very relaxed, tired, waiting to reach the airport, go on the plane, and sleep. Go to sleep for the flight. And for some reason, out of randomly, I looked at my phone and I looked at the boarding pass. And the name of the airport didn't match the name of the airport in
Oh
my
my
Uber.
god.
So then after the short panic, I told the driver, we need to turn around because we are heading to the wrong airport. And he said, no, this is not possible. Yes, this is possible. And I showed him the boarding pass. And although he agreed to turn around, he was not hurrying at all. So he was driving the same. And I was telling him, I'm going to lose my flight. Please, can you speed up? No, he was untouchable. Nothing
It's
could
chilling.
move him. So I was able to do the security with the crew members. That at that point I realized I will not lose the plane.
Really, really nice way to go to the special treatment VIP. Nice.
Yeah, so that was memorable.
Definitely, definitely. Any tech you cannot live without. Tool, platform, I don't know, whatever.
The online music streaming platforms. I like listening to music a lot. This is in
Nice.
fact the way I relax and recharge. And for this purpose, I built myself a hi-fi stereo music system.
Oh, nice.
And
Good.
I'm trying
That's
to
good.
enjoy. Yeah, and I'm trying to enjoy it
Nice.
as
Nice
often
to
as
hear.
possible.
Any non-travel book or podcast, not mine, that you're inspired with?
It's actually a quote I like a lot, which says like this: "They didn't know it was impossible, so they did it." Mark
Oh,
Twain.
nice. Really cool. Really nice. I love it. I love that.
Story of
Yeah,
my life.
it's really true. It's really true, and I'm fully behind like the message out there. um, if you don't know, you can do it. You never know. It's very good.
Just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Exactly, just do it. I always also had this quote actually really changed my life in a lot of different ways. It says, I can't remember for who, but it says, if you never had, what was it? If you had something you never had, if you want something you never had, you have to do something you have never done. So it's really like about doing it, like just doing it and reach your goal. So really nice. Any project that you're proud of, something you're working on, past, future?
Um, there are many projects which I am very proud of, and one of them that comes to my mind, and which I think it's also public, is how an airline, Cathay Pacific, scaled their travel demand with the use of our enterprise AI and automation. This is one
Nice.
nice story. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think you shared the link with me. I will put it on the subscription, so people can check it out as well if they want. And the
Sure.
last question that I always ask my clients is the famous question: what does level up means to you on a personal level or a business? It doesn't matter. What does level up means to you?
For me, level up means to not be afraid to always challenge the way you do things. Never be afraid to change things, pivot. Um, I think level up also means have a constant fear of becoming irrelevant, because this is a very good motivator for you to try and do more, uh, be better at what you are doing, instead of just lingering and waiting for time to pass. So this is how I
Amazing.
would define level up.
Really nice, really inspiring. Thank you so much. It was really, really nice. Thank you for your time and being here. And of course, sharing all these experiences. And also, really special thank you for all these years, and the partnership and everything you have been doing. So I wish you all the best, Mihai. It was really insightful talk, and we definitely gonna stay in touch. I'm gonna share your contacts as well. If somebody want to reach out to you as well, he can find you. And yeah, it's a wrap up. Do you have any last words?
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. This was a really nice experience, and I'm happy to see you again. And yeah, it's this is um, the proof that true business partnerships are can be a level up.
Yes, I agree. I agree. I love that. That's gonna be the hook of the of the episode.